tetragrammaton.
My older brother was a surfer. He's 13 years older than me, and then skating was an extension of surfing in the 70s. So he started doing it, and he's my older brother. So I was like, oh, that's cool. And for whatever reason, I didn't take to surfing the way he did. I liked it, but I wasn't that confident in the water with big waves. Once we found skateboarding together, I really enjoyed it, but it was really intimidating. It was like most of the kids were older. There was a skate park in San Diego. The bowls seemed like they were gigantic, and it was constant danger. But there was something about it when I first went to the skate park on my own and felt the energy in that space where it was like, it wasn't organized. It wasn't a coach telling us what to do. No one's relying on the rest of the team for their success. People were flying. The music, there was like a punk rock soundtrack. It was all new, and it was just, I was like, I want to live here. I want to be in this world. And I got hooked.
Skate parks must have been a really new phenomenon at that time.
They were. I didn't realize I was at the tail end of it, because to me it seemed like, oh, there are skate parks everywhere. There were actually 2 in San Diego near us, Spring Valley, Oasis. I was not old enough to get a membership at Spring Valley. You had to be 10. I think I was 9. And my dad wouldn't lie. And then I went to Oasis and spent as much as I could get rides there. Both my parents are working.
Yeah.
So it was hard to get there as much as I wanted to go.
How far was it from where you lived?
Like 20 minutes, but it was just more like, my mom worked at a community college. She was usually there till late at night. My dad was kind of a traveling salesman of musical instruments. He was retired from the Navy. And
What kind of instruments?
Everything. Guitars, violins, drums. My older sister was in a band, so he was their roadie for the most part. And then he found a way to source instruments and just started selling them to music shops.
Cool.
All around Southern California and Arizona. So he was usually off doing that. And then I could rely on my brother at least once a week and my mom a couple times a week to get to the park. So I was there until they closed. And I remember I was obsessed. Like I had to be there. And first time I got hurt, I got knocked out my front teeth, got a concussion, and I didn't care. Like I remember.
How old were you when that happened?
Maybe 10 or 11.
Yeah.
I remember being in the ambulance. I remember waking up and I was not where I got hurt.
So you got knocked out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then I woke up and I was in the pro shop of the skate park and they put me in an ambulance because my parents weren't there yet. And then I remember sort of this epiphany in the ambulance that was like, oh man, I got to learn how to do rock and rolls better.
Yeah.
Because that's what took me out.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a pretty pivotal moment in my life. Because it was like,
in those days, how many hours would you be at the skate park typically?
My parents moved around a couple times, San Diego, and ended up in North County. And it was just pure coincidence that the last skate park, almost in the US, was right there. Del Mar Skate Ranch. All of the other ones closed.
During like the Dogtown days, there were not yet skate parks.
They were starting to crop up. I was like the Dogtown and Z-Boys were the ones I was reading about in the magazines when I first started.
But they learned to do what eventually you did in the skate
in backyard pools.
In backyard pools.
Yeah.
But then the idea was, well, why don't we build something instead of using a pool? But it felt like that came after them.
It did, for sure.
How long was the window between them and you?
Maybe 3 years.
Not so long.
Not so long, no, 2 or 3 years. I went to Marina Del Rey when I was, actually I went to Marina Del Rey.
Yeah.
You'll like this story. And because they had you were on a skate park team. So I was team Del Mar Skate Ranch. Originally Oasis, then Del Mar Skate Ranch. So then we would go to these
Every park would have a team?
They would have a team. That was short-lived. It was like 1 season or 2 seasons of that. but we would have to go practice at these other parks. And so I got my brother to drive me to Marina Del Rey, which is, San Diego to LA. And I'm trying to skate this bowl. This bowl is it's the dog bowl. It's literally where those guys skate. Jay Adams, Stacy Peralta, Tony Alva. And I'm this little kid with this giant board, and I'm just trying to like reach the top. And they had a shallow end, so I could do these little tricks in the shallow end. And then all of a sudden, this influx of punk rockers started coming into the park, not skating, just taking over the space. Like, what is going on? And my brother, we're not from LA, so we're just kind of like, this is kind of intimidating. This is weird. And then all of a sudden, they all gathered in this one bowl right by where I was skating, but started spilling into the skate area. And I was like, I guess we're done for today. And this guy got up on a ladder and taking photos of it. And that is the cover of Circle Jerks Group Sex.
Wow.
And then the Circle Jerks started playing.
Amazing.
Yeah. I'm 10.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea that I'm witnessing this revolution at all. I'm just more like, why can't we skate anymore?
So cool.
Yeah.
Why do you think that connection between punk and skateboarding exists?
I think there's a do-it-yourself aspect, but there's also just this outcast element of like, we don't fit in, we don't belong, but we're gonna do what we want anyway. We're gonna make our own scene.
Mm-hmm.
And that attitude, that mindset is very much aligned. Skateboarding and punk rock. And plenty of, if you look back, like Henry Rollins skated, EMK skated, like all these guys were deeply connected to skateboarding, and then that became sort of the soundtrack to it.
Do you think that you're an unusually gifted athlete, or are you a diligent workaholic?
I wouldn't say unusually gifted athlete. I was okay at sports, baseball and basketball. Like I was average player, wasn't making the all-star team, but I wasn't the last picked.
Yeah.
When I started skating, I was heavily ridiculed for my style, for my lack of strength, for my size, for my look. I was bullied endlessly in the skate world, but I was possessed. So
would you say it was your dedication?
it was hard work, yeah. It was just repetition, perseverance, and a stubbornness, really. Like people say like, oh man, like you're so determined. I'm like, I'm just stubborn.
Yeah, yeah. Would you say there were other skaters for whom it was easier? Not saying they got better than you.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it was the work. You were
diligent.
diligent.
It was the work, yeah. It was the 10,000 hours.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I didn't want to get hurt, but I wasn't afraid to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And that can go a long way with what we do.
Absolutely. Yeah, because fear is probably the thing that would slow down all the progress.
Sure. Yeah.
Did you ever get into surfing?
Yeah.
And tell me about the relationship between surfing and skating. Similarities, differences.
I would say that the link, the evolutionary link from surfing to skating is the Dogtown Z-Boys, because they were trying to emulate surfing by riding swimming pool walls. And then when I got into skateboarding, you either skated pools or you skated freestyle. Freestyle was flat land. The kickflips were not invented yet, right? So basically, are you cool or are you a nerd, right? Because the freestylers, they're not putting much risk out there. That was the attitude.
Yeah.
They're doing pirouettes. They're dancing to routines. And I wanted to be cool. Like I wanted to fly. I wanted to grind. That's what the pool skating was about. So that's why I chose the type of skating that I did. But when you look at nowadays, most of these tricks that you see people wanting to learn, perform, they're freestyle moves. Kick flips, 360 flips, like that was all invented by Rodney Mullen, who was the best freestyler. But there was something special about him that we recognized, and even the most ardent naysayers of freestyler were like, Rodney is magical. He can do stuff that we don't even understand.
Yeah. Did you ever talk to him about it?
Oh, sure, yeah.
And for him, was it just a natural thing?
He was like me. He just couldn't stop.
Dedication,
yeah. And the thing that we identify with I'd say to identify with in each other is this obsession with having to learn new stuff. And even he and I, like, we had probably the most successful competition rankings in skateboarding history. He won every single freestyle event except one in his career. I won most of the vert events that I entered. But the day after the competition is when we were released and able to try new stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what we cherish the most.
Would every new move ultimately be an iteration of an old move?
Sometimes. Nowadays, yes, without question. Sometimes it was just like, what the hell? I mean, like Rodney, the Ollie Impossible. You know, it's where your board actually wraps all the way over your foot. Doesn't make any sense. You can't relate it to anything else. To us, it seems impossible,
Yeah.
right? But once he figured it out, people started doing it.
And was it something he figured out or fell into, or do
He
you know?
would just kind of tinker around with his board. I mean, he grew up near Clearwater, Florida, on a farm, and he had a slab of cement that he would skate by himself. That was his MO. And then he would just kind of tinker around, and even like he invented the kickflip. He just said he did an ollie, kicked it away, and the board flipped, and he goes, it's mocking me. If I just go stand above it when I do that, and a half hour later, he created the kickflip. So it's just kind of like that. So I took a lot of inspiration from him because, like, I learned how to flip my board in the air above a pool because I watched him.
Yeah. The iteration was he was doing it on the ground, you were doing it in the air.
Yeah.
But if you didn't see it on the ground, you couldn't do it in the air.
Absolutely.
You needed to know it was possible.
Yeah. And then the same goes
But the same for him. He probably didn't think it would be possible to do it in the air.
Right. But then I would do tricks in the air, and he figured out how to ollie off the ground where no one really had learned it the way that he could.
Yeah.
And so he started learning some of my tricks, like an airwalk, right? I created an airwalk where I take both feet off my board, I kick each opposite directions. And he was like, oh, I can ollie off the ground, grab my board, and kick it quickly. And then he did it right there, like, you know,
without all of the momentum
gravity.
that you had.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah. And then a lot of the early tricks were taken from surfing, laybacks, Bertleman, carving, you know, all the stuff. But then at some point, skateboarding became its own thing in terms of, oh, we're doing stuff in the air. We're flipping the board. We're spinning 540s. And then the power balance shifted where it was like surfers were trying to emulate skateboarding after that.
I see.
Which is what happens now. I mean, when you look at surfing, it's big airs, 540s, stale fish, varials, kick flips, like that all came from skateboarding.
How is the difference between being on wheels versus being on a board on water?
Oh, it's way different. I mean, just the way that you maneuver the board, the way you generate speed, it's, you know, some people can cross over pretty well. I'm not one of them.
Would you say wheels give you more control?
Sure. Because you could take your foot and push for momentum.
Yeah.
On a wave, you have to rely on where is the speed pocket of the wave.
And every wave is different.
Every wave is different. But
once you're riding a pool or in a park, it's the same every time.
It is, yeah.
How different is it going from park to park?
Oh, way different. It shifted a little bit with the Olympics because parks had to have, it's nuanced, but kind of an overall vibe and different types of obstacles if they're going to be considered for an Olympic qualifier. That's my best explanation.
How many years has skateboarding been in the Olympics?
First one was Tokyo, so that was 2021, should have been 2020. And
so
then
recently.
Yeah, and then Paris this last time.
So 2 times.
2 times, yeah.
Wow. Did you watch?
I watched, yeah.
And what were your thoughts?
It's amazing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think that half pipe should be disciplined, but that's a whole other conversation.
In a world of artificial highs and harsh stimulants, there is something different, something clean, something precise. Athletic nicotine. Not the primitive products found behind convenience store counters. Not the aggressive buzz that leaves you jittery, but a careful calibration of clean energy and focused clarity. Athletic nicotine. the lowest dose tobacco-free nicotine available, made entirely in the USA. No artificial sweeteners, just pure, purposeful elevation. Athletic nicotine is a performance nootropic. Athletic nicotine is a tool for shifting mindsets. Athletic nicotine is a partner in pursuit of excellence. Slow release, low dose, gradual lift, sustained energy, soft landing, inspired results. Athletic nicotine, more focus, less static. Athletic nicotine, more clarity, less noise. Athletic nicotine, more accuracy, less anxiety. Athletic nicotine, from top athletes pushing their limits to artists pursuing their vision. Athletic nicotine offers the lift you've been looking for. Learn more at athleticnicotine.com/tetra and experience next level performance with Athletic Nicotine.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Tell me about the skateboarding world that you entered at the time. It was
Yeah.
the end of the skate parks,
Kind of end of the
first era of skate parks.
Yeah.
Because they came back.
They did. I don't know if you want to say first or second, but it was sort of the end of the second boom of skateboarding.
Tell me each one. Tell me the history.
So the first one was sort of late 60s, early 70s, and they were toys. They had clay or steel wheels, and people were just using them to go down the hills and transportation.
Mhm.
Then that sort of fad went away. I mean, it was almost like the Frisbee of the day.
Yeah.
And then in the 70s, it sort of came back, especially with the Dogtown Z-Boys.
Urethane wheels.
Urethane wheels changed the game for sure. I think it was like 74, 75 maybe. I may not have that right. It was before my time.
And trucks.
The trucks were originally roller skate trucks.
Yeah.
And then they started to make them specifically for skateboarding.
Mhm.
And then the boards started getting wider. But I would say through the 70s, that was the revolution of equipment. And then the Dogtown Z-Boys era, people started realizing you could do a lot more than just go down a hill. And then skate parks started cropping up. So that was sort of the second boom, probably bigger than the first one.
And was the goal of the skate park originally to get the feeling of riding in a swimming pool?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, the goal ultimately was profit. Skate parks saw, people will pay to be here all day or for an hour or whatever. I mean, they would actually sell 1 hour sessions.
But it was different than skateboarding down the street.
Absolutely, yeah. But it had a little bit of everything. Usually, skate park had a little bit of everything. So it had sort of reservoir. We call it like a bank slalom.
Mhm.
That was just sort of a downhill bank that looked like a ditch. They had small pools. They had bigger pools. They had square pools. They had capsule-shaped pools.
What would you do in a square pool?
Well, the square, you can actually, the corners are rounded just enough so you
I
can
see.
kind
I see.
of whip through the corner. They had full pipes, that were just like ones they would find out in sewage lines, stuff like that, but
Yeah.
big ones.
Yeah.
I mean, back then when I was on park team, they used to have what they called a pipe pasting event. And so you'd put a piece of tape around your fingers, and then you'd skate the full pipe and get as high as you can, and then get your hand up and then put the sticker up.
Leave
And if
a
you
mark.
made it,
Yeah.
they would run a line across to see how far over vert you got. And then that was the winner.
Was it getting more popular when they went away, or it got less popular?
It was starting to get less popular, but liability insurance became impossible.
I see.
And I think that was the perfect storm.
And was there a case or something that happened? Someone got hurt somewhere and that changed it?
I think there was enough. No, I think it was just more that I can't say there was a particular case, but
Yeah.
I think it was just more that insurance companies just kept gouging skate parks until the point where they couldn't,
Couldn't survive.
they didn't have the clientele to justify it.
Yeah.
I got lucky because the park I told you about, Del Mar Skate Ranch, it was part of an entertainment center. So it was like mini golf, a driving range. They even had like RC slot cars.
Cool.
And all of that helped to keep the place open. Even though the skate park was a big part of that and it wasn't doing as much business, they didn't really care because the rest of it was working.
Hmm.
And then they lost their insurance and that was it.
So then what did you do when that happened?
That was kind of around the time that people started building backyard ramps.
I see.
So I had a couple of places to skate by then.
How old were you before you had your own ramp?
When I first got my ramp, I was 19.
And were you already professional at that time?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was the other thing. All of a sudden, we were kind of, skating came back around in the mid to late 80s, and all of a sudden, I'm on the Bones Brigade. The Bones Brigade is just on tour. So we were on tour endlessly.
Globally?
Globally, yeah. Europe, Australia, Japan.
And would it always be for competition, or would it
No.
also be for demonstration?
Mostly demonstrations.
It'd be like a show.
Yeah, but I mean, in the sense that we go to a parking lot of a skate shop and they just put a bunch of junky ramps out and it's like, go skate this. Or skate parks. Because by then there were wooden skate parks, indoor skate parks. And they were busy enough to justify getting insurance.
Mhm.
So that was cool because we got to skate all kinds of different terrain. We didn't have that many options at home anyway.
And how many people would be on the tour?
Usually they would send out 4 to 5 skaters in a van and with sort of a supervisor, but the supervisor was also a pro skater, and usually they were just along for the party anyway, so it was very lawless.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very much like, I always think of like Beastie Boys or
Like punk rock show.
punk. Yeah, but a bunch of kids traveling, like no one's setting guidelines or rules.
Yeah.
Except for be at the demo
Yeah.
at this time. That was our rules.
The people in the shop also were probably kids.
Yeah, it was
The whole thing was,
just chaos.
a
I mean,
youth movement, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
Counterculture movement.
Yeah. But I was always at least reliable. I never partied so hard that it affected my skating because that was always paramount to everything else. That was my priority. I had to skate good. I had to prove myself at every turn. And anything else was a distraction from that.
What would be the places that you'd stay when you'd go on tour?
Holiday Inn, Ramada, definitely sharing rooms.
Mhm.
But we didn't care. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
kids.
it was fun, yeah.
And the word would get out just through the skateboard stores? Just through the shops?
Yeah, well, I mean, Pal Peralta, who was the company behind Bones Brigade,
Mhm.
their tour plans were pretty elaborate.
How many years had they been doing tours before you?
Oh, we were one of the first.
Really?
Yeah. I think they did a few one-offs, but I think the first tour I went on, we actually had a van, like a van that you would travel with a band in.
Yeah.
And then we put ramps in the back of the van.
Yeah.
And then we show up to a skate shop, and then we just pull all the ramps out and put them in the parking lot. And it was sort of like our little Lego set that we could put however we want.
Yeah.
And then the crowds outgrew that scene very quickly. So then the next year, they bought a fully retractable mini ramp that lives on a trailer and hired, seasoned drivers to be in charge of the ramp. So we would be in a van
Mhm.
that's just the skaters,
Mhm.
show up, and the ramp is already assembled and ready to go, and the crowd is there.
Same as a van. First time you go, the equipment's in the back.
Yeah.
You set it up yourself.
Yeah.
You put it away. And then maybe if things go good, the next time there's another van with the roadies that have the
That was it.
equipment.
Yeah.
And then you're in the other car in the vehicle to travel.
And at that time, and then years after that, we thought that was as big as it's ever going to get.
Yeah.
I mean, we were riding high like that.
Yeah. Of the, let's say in the initial crew were 4 or 5, how many of the 4 or 5 continued being the same 4 or 5 year after year?
I would say that lasted for at least 5 to 6 years.
And so you and the 4 or 5 other guys,
What they would do is they kind of had what I would say were their A-listers
Yeah.
of the Bones Brigade.
Yeah.
And those were Steve Caballero, Mike McGill, Tommy Guerrero, Rodney Mullen, me, Lance Mountain. So usually they would put 1 or 2 of us in that crew, and then the rest were amateur skaters that were all excellent skaters.
Yeah.
And could
Just not as known yet.
just not as known.
Right.
And so inevitably you'd show up and it'd be like, where's Rodney? Where's Lance? And it's like, they're not here, but we're here. And then those guys would tell me every time they show up, where's Tony? So
Yeah. How many teams were there in the country?
There weren't many. I mean, it was really like, it was Palo Alto, Vision, Santa Cruz, and those are like the big three.
What happened next?
As big as it was, skate parks again were closing, even though they weren't permanent structures. And usually they were in the more difficult parts of town for the real estate costs, but the skate parks again couldn't afford the insurance. They started closing. Skating was still considered a fad in a way. So it was like, all right, this cycle's over. And then skating went underground for the most part. And
Did the tours stop, or did you still continue?
tours didn't stop, but they changed shape.
Did they shrink in audience or not necessarily?
They shrank in audience, absolutely, yeah. Because by 1992, I started my own company. I had left Powell because I saw the signs. And I thought, I guess I'm 24. I guess my career is over because I'm old and I skate ramps.
What was the first peak that you experienced, and then what was the first bottom that you experienced after that peak?
I'd say the first peak I experienced was 88, 89.
Mm-hmm. And your age then?
20.
20.
And then 92 is when all of a sudden everything was dropping. My income was shrinking by half every month because it was all royalty based.
Yeah.
You know, even like
And royalties on skateboards, t-shirts.
T-shirts, but all the accessories too, trucks,
Yeah.
you know, shoes.
So the whole industry was shrinking.
The whole, yeah, and I was feeling it. And I had a child on the way and 2 mortgages, and I was like, what? The whole bottom just dropped out. What's happening? And so I started a company hoping that I could sort of create what Stacy Peralta created with our team.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm going to find the talent, and if skateboarding comes back around, we're going to be on top of it.
Yeah.
That was the
You
goal.
were out in the world of
Yeah.
skateboarding at that time. Were the people who were interested still interested, or was the interest in all of it waning?
There were no more casual skaters that were in it for the hype of it. They were in it because it was cool, even though I never think of it as being cool, because like all those kids in the 80s, when they were in high school, they were getting hassled.
Yeah.
If they were skating, right?
Yeah.
But they coveted it. They loved it. It was more like, it's just not as accessible. And so the people who truly love it are going to keep doing it at all costs. But there's very little support for that.
So there was a hardcore contingent that
Hardcore
was
contingent.
always
And if you
there.
look, like if you look back, especially if you look back in early 90s, mid 90s, that's the revolution of street skating. And that's when things were no longer, oh, this is Southern California vibe. This is surf culture. No, we're in the streets. This is like New York City. You know, Wu-Tang is the soundtrack. Philly, Texas, and it was all like, everyone had their little pockets of scenes, but it was all street skating. And it was all mostly illegal. And so if you wanted to be a skater in those days, you had to endure cops, you know, ridicule.
Kind of like the graffiti. Like, it's not
Sure.
so different than that
Yeah.
culture. And so many of the hip hop artists from the 90s were skateboarders.
Yeah.
Again, like a continuation of the punk rock side, just the inner city version.
Yeah, I mean, I remember what we thought was a big event in England, maybe like 93, 94-ish, and De La Soul played at the event.
So cool.
And I remember half the skaters were like, are these guys really here? Like, you know, because to us, they're a hugely popular hip hop band. Like,
Yeah.
we're still the dredge of the earth skaters here. Yeah, it was weird.
So then you started your own company.
I started my company in 92, got a team together, and that's when I learned the hardships of being on the organizing end of doing tours.
Yeah.
Because then it was like, all right, I got to book all these places. I'm the one who has to collect the money and make sure that we have a place to stay, get food, you know, we had this old, really beat up Toyota van that we used for deliveries for the skateboards for our company. So that became the tour van. Mostly I was driving. There were 5 of us, and we would go skate shop to skate shop. There were a few skate parks left, So we go there too. We'd show up, skate for like an hour, sign autograph stuff for an hour, and then I would have to try to collect $300 from the shop. I would say I got it maybe half the time.
Yeah.
You know, and then
And just not a nice position to be in, having to do that.
no, I mean,
You're a skateboarder.
yeah, but I
don't
knew,
wanna
you
do
know,
that.
I signed up for it. I started
Yeah.
the company. This is the new gig. And so depending on how much we got, that would dictate if we're going to get 1 room or 2 rooms,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
at Howard Johnson's,
Yeah.
usually.
Yeah.
And then hopefully gas, and then Taco Bell.
How long would tours go for?
Usually 5 to 6 weeks.
Even when there was less of an audience and less of a business model, were tricks continually
Yes.
evolving? So the art form was always moving forward regardless.
Regardless, still to this day.
Yeah.
And the sad irony in my case, I mean, not that I look back on it in regret, but I was still skating ramps, even though it was like this forgotten discipline. You
Yeah.
know, there are hardly any vert ramps. In those years, were my most creative years in terms of learning new tricks and stuff. I had no audience for it. You know, like literally, if you put a half pipe section in a skate video back then, you know, we call half pipes vert. So people would say, hit the vert button. That means fast forward.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And to this day, like that's still a thing that I think there's a podcast called The Vert Button.
That's amazing.
So much of today's life happens on the web. Squarespace is your home base for building your dream presence in an online world. Designing a website is easy, using one of Squarespace's best-in-class templates. With the built-in style kit, you can change fonts, imagery, margins, and menus, so your design will be perfectly tailored to your needs. Discover unbreakable creativity with Fluid Engine, a highly intuitive drag and drop editor. No coding or technical experience is required. Understand your site's performance with in-depth website analytics tools. Squarespace has everything you need to succeed online. Create a blog, monetize a newsletter, make a marketing portfolio, launch an online store. The Squarespace app helps you run your business from anywhere. Track inventory and connect with customers while you're on the go. Whether you're just starting out or already managing a successful brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create and customize a beautiful website. Visit squarespace.com/Tetra and get started today.
When did gear to protect your knees and elbows start? Like, I imagine right when you started that didn't
That
exist.
was, so in my day, that was mandatory. You couldn't go to a park without
I
having
see.
all the gear.
I see.
In
And
fact-
helmets,
Yeah, but they
everything.
rented it.
I see.
You know, they rented these shitty, super
Yeah.
thin plastic. We call
But it
them rain
was
buckets, but-
available because there was a time when no
Yeah.
one even thought about it.
Right, right. I mean, my first concussion, I was wearing a helmet. It was just shitty.
Yeah.
It was a joke.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, the edge of the helmet sliced my eyebrow, so I had stitches too. Like, you know what I mean? It just squished into my head. But I would say once the skate parks were closing, then all bets were off for pads. I mean, that's, you know, to this day, especially when you watch people skate, you probably hardly see anyone wearing pads, right? Out
Yeah.
in the wild on the handrails and stuff like that, because once it wasn't mandatory, who cares?
Have you ever street skated at all?
A little bit, but my style was very rooted in what we call transition skating, which is like riding radiuses.
Yeah.
So I'm not ready for like any sort of rough terrain or
Yeah.
abrupt things like that. You know,
Yeah.
I went as far as I could with my street career until on one of those tours, I ended up rolling one ankle in the worst way on a handrail. And then the very next day, we're still on tour. I'm still, you know, I still got to skate, whatever. The next day, I went down a small set of stairs, like skating the other direction because my ankle was so fucked up. And then I wrecked my other ankle just as bad. And in that moment, I was like, if I want to continue to skate and have fun, I
Yeah.
can't do this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not built for it.
No, it's completely understood. Like, I think of the difference between skating and surfing. If you fall off the wave, there is the potential for drowning. That's a
Sure.
real thing. But you're landing in the water, which just seems like if you're going to be falling off of something,
Yeah.
to land in the water is so much better than to land on concrete steps.
Yes, I agree. When people say like, how can you ride these giant ramps, you know, like, and they give me shit like, and you won't go surf when it's a little heavy. I'm like, because when I fall, the ramp doesn't come
It
attack
doesn't
me
attack you
and hold me underwater.
and
Like,
try to drown you.
yeah, like I know where I stand with this ramp.
Yeah.
And I'm good if I fall. I'm fine, you know.
It's really interesting, that difference, because it does seem like
Yeah.
falling on something hard seems like the worst option.
Yeah, I mean, one thing you learn by default and almost involuntarily through skating is how to fall.
Yeah. And you learn that early on?
Way early on, yeah.
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 Are there secrets or tricks you can explain?
Well, if you're skating big ramps,
Yeah.
we do knee slides. That's how we get out of situations. The secret, like the technique to a knee slide is as you're falling, you take one very quick step with your lead foot, whatever that might be, or your dominant foot, and then you go straight to your knee. So you've kind of taken the impact with your one leg just enough that you can take the rest of the impact with your knee.
So you're not breaking the fall with your knees.
You're not breaking it. If you do go straight to your knee,
Yeah,
you'll jar your back.
I see.
And if
So you use the bent foot as like a run
one quick step, drop to the knee, yeah.
to get to the knee.
Yeah.
And I guess you get good at that.
Yeah. And you get good at spatial awareness like a gymnast, where it's like you snap and you're like, oh, something's wrong. I got to bail out. Even though I can't see where I am, I just know this is not right.
How much of what you're doing is always intentional versus, I'm surprised my feet decided to do that?
Well, in the context of trying to learn new tricks, I would say it's like, in my experience, in my approach, it's like 2/3 intentional, 1/3 happy accident. And when I say happy accident, it's like I screw up an attempt, but I see something else.
Yeah,
I
you
see
get a
possibility.
glimpse
Yeah.
of how it could
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have known that had you not.
Right. Or I have something in mind. I want to get this done. I want to check it off the list.
Yeah,
It just doesn't work.
yeah.
And then I find this sort of side door approach to it, almost by accident. It's like, why did I torture myself trying it this one way and not just go this way with it? But, you know, I was always happy to make those discoveries.
Yeah. Is skateboarding as fun for you now as it was when you were young?
It is, yeah. I broke my leg about 3 years ago.
Skating?
Skating, yeah. And doing a McTwist, like some trick I took for granted that I've done thousands of times and just kind of didn't have the right amount of speed and was cavalier and fucked around and found out, like, you know, just that it doesn't work the way it used to. I can't just recover. Got my leg tangled and broke my femur. Like, I mean, as I was still sliding across the flat bottom, it felt like my leg had left my body. You know what I mean? Like, it was so obvious. It's like, okay, that is disconnected. I broke my leg for sure. And getting back from that, I had a false start. I skated too soon. The bone never actually reconnected back to itself. So it was offset for the first 8 months of my recovery. And I was always in pain. And at some point I was like, this can't be right. You know, I can't have this kind of limp and be struggling this much. And then they took an x-ray and they said, yeah, you have what we call a non-union fracture.
Yeah. So the bone came back together, but in the wrong place.
It didn't even come back together.
Oh.
It never did. At some point, it was on top of each other.
Yeah.
I skated too soon. I shifted it out of place. And then it was just hanging above the other one. Yeah, it sucked.
So then you had surgery,
So
I
8 months
imagine?
later, I had it realigned with a very stern warning from the doctor that did it. It's like, you cannot get back out there. Don't get back out there the way you did.
Yeah.
Take it slow. In fact, I want you to be on crutches for the first 2 months, even though you won't need them.
Yeah.
And I'm only telling you this because now, having gotten through that, getting to a level of skating that I'm at now that is back to sort of a professional level,
Yeah.
I don't take any of it for granted. And so it kind of makes it way more fun.
Understood.
I mean, I just skated with my kids 2 hours ago at Kapaa Skate Park.
Yeah.
And just jumping over the hips there, like that's a gift
Yeah.
at my age. And then I get to do it with my kids.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not moving the needle on getting gnarly, but it's so fun. And also the idea that skateboarding has come this far. It's accessible to everyone.
Is it more popular now than it's ever been?
That's hard to answer.
Mm.
I would say yes on an international scale. But also,
But now it's in the culture. It's not
it's
like a
just something,
fad.
it's just something that people do. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like this dude showed up today. He was driving by, saw us skating. He's like, oh man, I haven't skated in a while. If I get my board, can I skate with you guys? Yeah, go for it. So he drove home, came back, and he was skating. And it was just like, that's how it is now. Like that guy, skating is in his DNA, even though he doesn't even do it that much anymore. And I feel like that's just something people
It's like
choose to do.
riding a bike.
Yeah, they just
Like we don't always ride a bike, but
yeah,
once you know how to ride a bike,
yeah.
it's in your arsenal.
Yeah. Like going back to how available skateboarding is. I mean, if you go to a skate park right now, almost anywhere, you'll see people of all ages, all genders, all races, all backgrounds using the park and all skill levels, like from absolute beginners to actual pros that are competing internationally. And they're all enjoying the space the same. And they're all encouraging each other. And I just don't, there's no other sport like that.
Tell me about the changes in equipment. What each of the changes allows that wasn't possible before?
I think in the 80s, it just allowed more stability because the shapes got bigger and
Wider?
wider, yeah. Wider and a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm. I remember there was a period at some point where they got really long.
Yeah, that's more longboard, like cruise boards. That's sort of a different
Okay.
approach, but that exists.
Yeah, and at the time that they came out, it was new. We hadn't seen
It was new,
those
sure,
before.
and it's just less trick oriented.
Yeah.
So
And then boards, I remember when I was a kid, they were hard. And then there was a time when they got soft, they would flex in the middle.
those boards, like those were more like the surf style boards in the 70s or slalom boards. Slalom boards were very springy.
And what's the benefit or negative?
Well,
what does it do?
the negative is that it's not rigid enough to be able to do tricks, right? But the benefit is if it's kind of bouncing in the middle, is you can do slalom and do real fast turns
I
back to
see.
back.
Would it
Yeah,
be like
so-
shock absorber also, sort of?
Not really. It's no, because you wouldn't be on those types of boards. You would not be leaving the ground.
Okay.
I would say around
And slalom is like you see the videos of the guys going really fast.
really
down
fast,
hills.
just back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I had to do as a park team member, and I was terrible at it. And there's like video of me hitting all the cones. It was just not my thing. In the early 80s, or sort of early 80s, mid 80s, 7-ply maple became the norm for construction for skateboards. And then it was just about what is the concave and what is the shape. And that is unique to each company.
Why is concave a good thing?
It just keeps your foot in place,
I see.
especially when you're up on big walls and stuff.
I
Like if the
see.
board's flat, there's a good chance your foot's going to slip off once you get.
Does the
Because of the
shape
past
of the
vertical.
nose or the tail make a difference?
It makes a difference, mostly because we learned that as skating evolves, people start skating backwards. So now you need a nose that's just as long as the tail. I would say that was the biggest shift of equipment from the 80s to the 90s. Because in the 90s, all the boards looked like popsicles.
So now they're reversible,
They're
essentially.
reversible, yeah. Yeah. And you're using the nose as much as the tail.
Still, does one side have more of a kick to it or not necessarily?
They're pretty much the same.
Pretty much same,
Yeah.
front and back.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. If I were to show you my board, you would not know which is the front or the back.
Is there a front and a back?
There is, yeah. I just know because it's very subtle, but I've been riding the same shape for like 20 years, so I know.
Yeah. Do you think of skateboarding as competitive?
I think there is a sector of it that is competitive, sure. When I was growing up, the only way that you were going to get any recognition, sponsorship, support was through competition. There was no YouTube. The magazines didn't care what you were doing unless you were competing.
Tell me about a competition. I've never seen a skate competition.
Well, basically, my era was pool competition. So there would usually be a main pool at every skate park. That's the competition pool. At Del Mar was the keyhole. And then you would go there would be however many people in town, 100 skaters. You'd have prelims, and they would cut it down to maybe 16 people. Then you'd have semifinals, and then they would cut it to 8. And then 8 people would generally get 3 to 4 runs, 45 seconds each. If you bail, you can get back up, start again, but if you fall, you're not gonna win. You get marked way down, and you gotta do something like, just pull some brand new move out of your ass if you fall and to even be considered back in the lineup. It was supposed to be about your style, your airtime, trick selection, and when it came down to it, in our day, it was just kind of like, who's the coolest?
Yeah.
And who was the coolest? Christian Osoy.
Yeah.
Right? And so to combat that, I had to come up with the craziest shit, trick-wise. Because they hated my style. They didn't, I was bony cock. Like, I was the nerdy kid that was just trying to maneuver my board and looked awkward doing it. So I had to do like McTwist, but do a variation of McTwist. Like throw my board another 180, grab it a different way. And that was the only way that I was going to get seen.
So do you say what Christian was doing was easier for him to do than what you were doing?
It wasn't
Or
that.
not?
It was just more that he looked so smooth.
Yeah.
He was amazing. Like he could go twice as high as any of us and do some of the hardest tricks too. I'm like, it's not lost on me. Like Christian, he had the moves. Just for instance, his lean air would count for probably one of my harder tricks.
Yeah.
I could do lean airs, but they didn't look like him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had to do something over and above.
And I have to hide it from the judges. Because if they saw me do it in practice,
then they wouldn't be impressed.
And if I didn't do it, they're like, what about that trick we saw? And I would get marked down.
I see.
So they were judging me against what they thought I was capable of.
Yeah.
So it was tricky. But I mean, whatever, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Like all that just fueled my fire to keep getting better and better and better.
Yeah. Would you ever get there a day earlier to practice something in the place where it was going to happen?
I would practice it not in the place where it's going to happen because everyone shows up a day or two early.
I see.
And that's when you're under the microscope.
But how different is it from place to place?
Well, at some point, it evolved from pools to ramps.
Yeah.
So the ramps were a little more reliable in terms of being similar to each other. They were all wooden and they were generally
better to fall on
10
wood,
to 11.
seems like.
Yeah, I think so. I prefer falling on wood than concrete for sure.
It seems like it.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because they're having an event at this sort of legendary concrete bowl. They're having it in January, and it's going to be the last one there. And they're having a Legends division, and everyone's like, you got to go. And I was like, I do not want to fall in concrete at my age.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of if I'm going to fall. It's a matter of when I'm going to fall.
LMNT, Element Electrolytes. Have you ever felt dehydrated after an intense workout or a long day in the sun? Do you want to maximize your endurance and feel your best? Add Element Electrolytes to your daily routine. Perform better and sleep deeper. Improve your cognitive function. Experience an increase in steady energy with fewer headaches and fewer muscle cramps. Element Electrolytes. Drink it in the sauna. Refreshing flavors include grapefruit, citrus, watermelon, and chocolate salt. Formulated with the perfect balance of sodium, potassium, and magnesium to keep you hydrated and energized throughout the day. These minerals help conduct the electricity that powers your nervous system so you can perform at your very best. Element Electrolytes are sugar-free, keto-friendly, and great tasting. Minerals are the stuff of life. So visit drinklmnt.com/tetra and stay salty with Element Electrolytes. LMNT.
Tell me about your shyness when you were young. How would you experience it?
I just didn't feel like I belonged.
Yeah.
So I just would be very,
Just quiet and reserved.
yeah, just introverted. And then when I started skating good, that was my voice. And so I used that as much as I could. And then people thought I was arrogant because I wasn't talking to anyone. And I'm just
shy.
doing all these crazy tricks. And I was like, I don't know how to talk to people. I don't know, And I think I broke out of it eventually because Stacy Peralta said, look, there's all these kids here. They literally bought a skateboard with your name on it. They're staring at you like, go talk to them. Like, I'm not even comfortable in my own skin. How am I going to talk to these guys?
Yeah.
And eventually I just kind of learned to move through that discomfort and be available and be interactive.
Would you think of Stacy as a mentor for you?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Tell me about sponsorships. How do they work for skateboarders?
Usually it's a contract, like an annual contract. In the case of, there's a strange disconnect with skateboard companies, who manufacture skateboards, because they are not the biggest in the industry, like in terms of sales. So hard goods are the hardest to maintain a legitimate business with. You are officially a pro skateboarder if you have a skateboard with your name on it. But the irony is that that's not going to be what makes you money. It's if you have a shoe deal, energy drink deal, car sponsorship, or your competition earnings. But the skateboard company is the very least of your income. But you're identified through that. It's very strange.
You can't get the sponsorships without being...
You can. I mean, there are people that do it for sure. They're more focused on competition.
Yeah.
But the ones that are like vying for Skater of the Year, for Thrasher, they're out in the streets, they're getting the craziest footage. They definitely have a skateboard sponsor.
Tell me about the culture of skateboard shops.
Well, that was the hub. I mean, that was where you would go to find your crew, to talk shop, to watch videos. And
would they typically be places that only sold skateboards, or would they sell other things?
it depends on the era. Generally, it would only, nowadays, well, I would say through the 80s and 90s, only sold skateboards for sure. But in the early days, yeah, it could be just sporting goods, and they had a little skate section in the back. And also, they're the ones that support the local scene. You can't dismiss them. Like, even if their online sales have affected their business and whatnot, or they're struggling, they usually are the ones that people look to put on local events, to get teams to do demos.
Yeah.
When I talk to people about those 80s and that era and doing demos, the first thing they say is, oh yeah, I saw you guys at this shop. The shop is what they remember.
Is there a crossover between skateboarding and like X Games and...
I think that there's a synergy in that we use the same terrain.
Yeah.
For instance, in the early 90s, I wasn't getting a lot of jobs as a vertical half-pipe skater, but I would get invited to be a special guest at the rollerblade demos and the BMX shows at the state fair.
Yeah.
And that paid my rent.
Yeah.
I was the special guest at Matt Hoffman's BMX show for the Michigan State Fair for 2 summers in a row.
And would it be like BMX scene in some ways replace the skateboarding scene, or not really?
No, not really. I think in the early 90s, inline skates did for sure.
Inline skates?
Yeah, rollerblades.
But you can't do tricks, not really.
But they did skate ramps, and they were selling tons of these rollerblades, so people would come see and pay to see those shows. So I did shows like I was, again, special guest at Six Flags parking lot, St. Louis, for a whole summer.
Yeah.
In a rollerblade live show.
Yeah. But you would skate?
I would just skate, yeah. Because there were some people that they knew my name from the 80s.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I remember that guy. And I could do all the tricks, so, you know what I mean? Like, people that want to bash inline skating, rollerblading, whatever, I was like, dude, I'm so thankful that they were around back then.
When did your connection to video games start, and how?
Around 1997, a guy approached me because he had a crude engine for a skate game that he had coded on his PC. And he said, hey, I think we could do a skate game. Do you want to go with me and pitch it to different publishers? And so he and I went to a bunch of different meetings. We went to some software studios. We went to actually Nintendo. And I mean, I remember one quote was, skateboarding is not even popular. Why would a skateboarding video game be popular?
Yeah.
And I said, well, skateboarding games were popular. We had 720, we had Skate or Die. Like, I think now that we're at a different stage of video game and home consoles, we could do something fun. And even if people don't skate, they would like it. It's like, no. And then about a year later, less than a year later, I got a call from Activision. They said, hey, we heard that you might be working on a skateboard game. So well, I tried, but it didn't work. And they said, well, we are working on a skateboard game. We just did a game called Apocalypse featuring Bruce Willis, which is the first time there was like a name and likeness in a game. So it didn't do very well, but the engine is perfect for skateboarding. And so we want you to come see what we're doing. And I went up to Activision the next week and they handed me a controller and I started playing this game that was Bruce Willis on a skateboard with a gun on his back, skating through a wasteland. And immediately, like, I was doing ollies and kickflips and grabs, and I was like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
I just knew instinctively, like, that this is the game that skateboarders will want to buy a console to play.
Yeah.
And to me, that was the biggest success. Like, if it's good enough for skateboarders that they like what they're seeing,
Yeah.
then that's a win.
Yeah. It sounds like falling doesn't hurt as bad in the video game.
Oh, yeah. It is hard to watch, though. There are some animations of, like, my knee popping one way that I can't watch it happen. I have to choose a different character.
You talked about breaking your leg, and as someone who's suffered so many injuries over the years, tell me in that moment when you realize what's happening, what's the thought process? Is it, oh no, or is it, okay, there goes 2 months? What do you?
It's that. Like, how long is this going to take?
Yeah, it's just how long is it going to take?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the only reason how long it's going to take is because how long is it going to take before I can get back?
Yep. Yeah, that's it.
It's not, well, it'll be painful for 2 months. That's not part of the thought.
No, I mean, that's a given.
It's just getting back.
Yeah. Getting back, yeah. Or, you know, did I damage this so completely that
I
it's
can't
over?
get back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, is it? I don't know. But, you know, when I woke up the next morning from the surgery, like, oh, we got to run back in place. And it was like, okay, here we go.
Let's go. Yeah.
But that was my fault for thinking that way.
What's the longest you've ever gone without skating?
That was during that time. It was probably the second time around. I didn't skate for about 3 months.
And then when you get back, is it always like, I'm back, yes? Or is it
the first go around of my broken leg, I thought it was going to be like that. And it was just so painful and so weak. That's when reality hit me. I was like, oh, I'm never going to get back to where I was.
I see. But now
I would say, you know, I'm like 80, 90% of what I was before that. And if that's where I live, it's fine.
Yeah. How popular did the video game get?
It was the biggest game. It was insane. When the fourth game came out, the first three were still in the top 10 of sales.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
How long was it between iterations?
We came out each year up until
so in the fourth year, 1, 2, and 3 were all in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And then the consoles kept getting better. So then we're out.
I also love the fact that Nintendo's like, no one's going to like this.
Yeah, well, it wasn't exactly Nintendo that said that, but because
someone said it.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right.
It's just that much more interesting when the powers that be, the experts, say it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
And then.
But also, it took everyone by surprise. I mean, even the designers, you know, we were just kind of going rogue, like picking music. I was just picking the soundtrack to my skating years. So we got Dead Kennedys and Primus and, you know what I mean? And they were all happy to lend a song because it was like, you guys want our music? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. And then all of a sudden, the soundtrack took on a life of itself, and people credit that for getting them into punk rock or ska or even hip hop.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. There are 4 cover bands that only play songs from our video game, one on different continents.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing the power of music in that way. I think if it wasn't for the Clash, I don't know that any of us would know any reggae or ska.
That's when people say, what starts with the Clash and Gang of Four, and then everything fans out from there.
Yeah. Gang of Four, incredible.
So great.
I got to see them live 2 times. Once at Irving Plaza and once at Roseland.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
What a great band.
I remember, speaking of something like that, like I remember I saw Nirvana right after Nevermind came out in 1990 at a small venue in Houston because there was a skate event in Houston. And then everyone's like, Nirvana's playing tonight. So all the skaters go to the show. And I remember as they started thinking like, this is the coolest place you could possibly be in the world right now.
Yeah.
And it went crazy. And I remember Jack Black told me that same thing about seeing Devo in 1980, where he's like, this is the greatest place anyone could think of to be right now. Is
Amazing.
in the presence of this band.
I saw Devo in Boston in this theater. I don't know what it was called, but like an old movie theater. And it was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life.
I know that place because
In Boston. You had to like walk through an alley to get to it, even though you get to it and it's big
Yeah.
theater.
So when I was on tour in Boston, on Bones Brigade tour, the Damned were playing there. And I
Great
was
venue.
so excited.
Yeah.
And I walked in, they're like, it's 21 and over. And I was 20. And I was like, come on.
Yeah.
And they're just like, no, it's not an
I
all-age
never
show.
got to see The Damned.
Well, I didn't get to see him until 20 years later, but I still like, I remember exactly that moment was in slow motion to me where
Yeah,
I saw the poster. I knew I was staying there tonight and I was like, 1 ticket.
Yeah.
Like, no, bro.
In the history, we got to the point where it was 92. You start your own company. What's the next uptick in skateboarding?
X Games. X Games started in 95. It was still kind of it was a little scattered. It was a little wonky just with how they presented our sports because it was like, they're extreme. Woo, camera angles like this and mohawks. And it was like, dude, that's not what it's all about. But they kind of found their groove, I'd say in 97, 98.
What percentage of the X Games is skateboarding? Is it like a third or a fifth?
I would say it was more like a fifth then.
Yeah.
It's about a quarter now. But all the other sports have shifted.
Yeah.
Because back then it was like bungee jumping and sky surfing and eco challenge, and just random stuff.
Do you think of yourself as a daredevil?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to go off the high dive and yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Bounce on big trampolines and all that stuff.
Is it that you like that adrenalized feeling?
Yeah, yeah. But not so much that I'm throwing caution to the wind.
Yeah.
I like the idea that I am capable of this.
Yes.
And yes, it can be risky. And yes, it's a little out of my comfort zone or skill level, but I know I can figure it out.
Has there been anything besides skateboarding that you've dedicated yourself to in that way?
Well, parenting, I suppose. Yeah. Which I had to learn kind of the hard way through my years of success, where it was like, oh, you have to prioritize better and choose time with your kids more so than whatever you think this other thing is important.
Mm.
And that took a while. I mean, definitely took longer than it should have.
What's the current state of skateboarding?
Pretty solid, very international,
Tricks still evolving.
still evolving.
How often do you see something where you feel like, I can't believe you did that?
Absolutely. I mean, it took me 10 years to make a 900, right? 10 years of my life, getting beat up.
You were the
trying it.
first person to do it.
Yeah,
And you were the only person to do it for a while.
for a couple of years, yeah.
Yeah.
Then a few people learned it. Then Tom Shar did a 1080. I don't know, maybe 10 years later or 9 years later. Then Mitchie Brusco did a 1260, you know, as the ramps got bigger, and they're like gymnasts. It's crazy. I just watched, this is last year at our event, Vert Alert. We have a big vert contest with my ramp. We bring it to Salt Lake City. I watched a 10-year-old do 3 900s in a row. In a row.
10 years old.
10 years old.
Yeah.
In his run. Like that was part of his
Doesn't
run.
hurt as much when you fall when you're
But
10.
I mean, I can't believe I get to live in that timeline.
Yeah.
I was the one commentating. Like I get to witness this. I get to call it.
Yeah.
I get to try to explain the difficulty of that, even
So
though
cool.
I didn't.
So cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah. And do you think it's that humans are evolving?
Sure. I think it's just we see what's possible. And so that is a goal to start with.
It's like the 6-minute mile. Once it's
Sure.
broken,
Yeah,
then a lot of people can do it.
absolutely, yeah. When I started skating, no one did 540s.
Yeah.
And
So
then-
900 was impossible until it wasn't.
Right.
And now that it's not impossible, other
And now
people
if
can
you're
do
gonna-
it.
Like now you skate ramps, start spinning.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
It's really interesting.
yeah. And it continues.
That's an example, though, of, again, just an iteration, because there was a 720 before there was a 900, right?
Right. Yeah. To put it in context, I did the first 720 in 1985 on a ramp way outside of Stockholm in this little town by a lake with 3 people watching me.
Did you intend to do it,
Yes.
or did it happen?
No, I tend to do it because the ramp was a little different design and allowed us to go higher. And so I was doing 540s a lot back then. And I thought, well, maybe this is the ramp to go one extra spin.
Yeah,
I learned it in like half an hour. There were 3 people watching me.
yeah.
No one cared. You know, I mean, it was cool. Yay.
So is that often the case where there'll be something in the environment that sparks you to do something that
Yeah.
you couldn't do before?
Yes,
Because you were reacting.
I was.
You
Yeah.
didn't decide
To
in
the turn.
advance, I'm going to
Yeah,
do this.
I didn't go with that intention. going
No,
there.
but you saw the opportunity
Yeah.
based on the real world conditions.
Yep, yep.
Is it typically that way?
I would say it's half and half.
Yeah. It seems like it would be easier if you got that glimpse than just, I have an idea, I'm going to make it happen. If you get a glimpse, oh, the speed or the height that I'm going now
Yeah.
makes it easier to do this thing that I couldn't do before.
Yeah.
You see the opportunity is different than a theoretical idea in space that you're going to push to happen.
Sure. But it's interesting, like going from that was
Yeah.
1985. I didn't make a 900 until 14 years later.
Yeah.
To do that extra 180
Yeah.
took that much time and
And do you
effort.
remember when the 900 happened? What was different about what allowed that to happen?
There were a few things. One, that the ramp was built much better than most ramps at the time because no one had the budget to make great
Yeah, yeah.
ramps, but ESPN did. And in the past, whenever I tried to make it, I would fall forward. And one time I actually broke my rib around 1996. I had all the pieces of the puzzle. I'm doing it. Here it goes. And then I fell forward, broke my rib, had to go pick up my son in kindergarten. Like, couldn't breathe. No one was paying me to do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it was all just for the passion of it.
Yeah.
And then
How long was it before you tried it again?
about a year, but I could not get that commitment again. Because I didn't, for what?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want to go through that again. And so I actually had a ramp built that was bigger than most ramps. It was in a bull ring. It was in Tijuana. It was like, oh, this is going to be sick. And I was doing all these other tricks. And I was like, I'll do 900 on this ramp. And then when I finally got to it, I was like, I can't. I don't want to get hurt again and be stuck in Mexico.
Yeah.
So the key to it was at the 99 X Games during the best trick event, I started trying it because I had done my best trick in the event prior to that, which was a 720 variation.
Mhm.
So I already had that. And it was like, what's next? Well, what's next is a 900, impossible.
So
time.
you've never done it.
Yeah.
The one time you tried, you broke your rib,
The one time I really committed to it, yeah.
and now you're going to do it in competition?
No, I just started trying it because it was like, here's the next thing that I would like to do. Here's the next stage of spinning. And it was kind of like for this crowd, because we never had a crowd like that. It was just kind of like me, like, yeah, check it out. This is what, And then after about my third attempt, I had a super good spin. I had way more speed than I usually had. And I was like, well, if I'm ever going to really try again, it might as well be here because I don't mind getting hurt here. And so then I started fully committing to it. And when I did commit to the first one, I fell forward again, but I didn't get hurt. And there was something that happened there where it was like, you have to shift your body weight mid-spin. That's the key. So
Yeah.
the next one I tried,
And you could have never known that until you did it
until I did it
unsuccessfully.
unsuccessfully and took the hit.
Yeah.
But took the hit that wasn't so debilitating
Yeah.
that allowed me to get up again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because when the first time I got hurt and broke my rib, I didn't drive away going, man, I got to figure out how to shift my weight. I drove away going, fucking trick, I'm never going to do that trick.
Right.
I hate that trick.
Yeah.
In that context, I just thought, okay, shift your weight. So then the next one I did, mid spin, there's a lot to think about because you can't see anything when you're spinning that fast. Shifted my weight to my back foot. And when I came down, I fell backwards. It was kind of a hard slam, but I was like, that's it. Like, I fell forward, I've fallen backwards, split the difference, and I made the next one.
Yeah. And is it that intellectual where you're programming yourself to do it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just making these tiny adjustments every time and banking them.
So you must have great sense of your body in space because you're flying and spinning while this is happening.
Yeah, after a while you do, yeah.
That's amazing.
What I'd learned in those years, in the years after, where watch what you wish for. Because then once I learned it, anytime I'd go do a demo anywhere, it's like 900, come on, let's see it. I'm like, oh, you guys, it's going to take everything I have to do that again.
Yeah. Did you ever do it more?
I did, yeah. I ended up doing it like 30 times.
Yeah. Did it get easier or never?
It got easier to get to that stage of knowing I can do it.
Yeah.
So, for instance, at X Games, I think it was like 11 attempts. After that, it would usually take me less than 5 or 6 to get there.
Yeah.
But it always took a lot. It was never first try.
Yeah.
But what I learned in those years after is that as soon as you snap, if something's off, don't stop spinning. And I've told kids that who want to learn it. Like, look, if you go and you miss your board or whatever, do not open up, because you're going to open up and you're not going to know where you are, and you're going to be way further out of the ramp than you usually are, and you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Like, there's no question.
So by continuing to spin, what happens?
You come back around the wall and you can get to your knees.
I see.
It's like you're so far off the wall, but you kind of, your spin and your trajectory brings you back to the wall if you keep spinning.
Yeah. Do you ever spin where your back is to the wall instead of your knees?
The first time I ever tried it, yeah. Because I didn't know how fast to spin.
Right.
I did that in 1987. That's what prevented me from trying it after that.
Yeah.
Because I literally landed on my back like, oh. But if you
Is
open
there
up.
anything you can think of that I may have done at some point in my life, something physical that everyone can do, but that takes some practice to be able to do it? How similar is it to learning to ride a bicycle? What we're talking about.
It's kind of like if you've ever tried to do a flip off a diving board. That can seem like the scariest thing in the world. And once you leave the diving board, if you panic, you're going to end up on your back, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. If you go up to over 900 and something goes wrong, you panic, you open up, you're going to land on your back.
Yeah.
One body motion is much more extreme than the other, but it's the same outcome.
I see. If you learn something like keep spinning, can that same idea apply to other tricks? Is that knowledge base deeper than that trick, or is it just that trick?
That one's kind of on its own in terms of what it takes to get there.
What are some of the ones that are more general, like a technique you use when it's going wrong that ends up having good effects on a lot of things?
That's hard to answer. I would say the things that you do up on the lip where you're getting your board and you're grinding with your trucks and you're grinding with the middle of your board.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to get lazy on that stuff, and your board will hang up on the top and you think you're going to be in, and then next thing you know, you're on the flat bottom.
Yeah.
Right? We call that hanging up.
Yeah.
There are very subtle feet maneuverings where you can avoid that, and you can use them for almost any lip trick.
Oh, good.
So you learn them from the basic ones,
Yeah.
but you get them so dialed that you know if you get in some certain position and, oh shit, your board's over the coping, you have that backup skill set.
Does the board ever hit you, fall on you, or?
Yeah, I mean.
But it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, but yeah. I definitely have scraped up my knuckles too. I mean, my shin,
Yeah.
that's my skateboard.
Yeah. Is there some piece of equipment that you can imagine that would allow gains in skating that have never happened?
That's how people got to do 1080s and 1260s, is that
What do they have?
foam pits and bigger ramps.
So it's just you can fall much easier.
You can fling your body. You don't have to worry about opening up or spinning if you're flying in a foam pit.
I see. Past the foam pit, is there anything that can take it further?
I don't know. I don't. People try to develop harnesses and things like that, and I'm still old school. Like I learned in the school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
I learned on concrete.
Yeah.
All this stuff. So I don't really have a gauge where it's like, yeah, go try that easy way in.
Yeah. Who would you say was the most influential skater on you?
Eddie Alguera, because he was the most innovative skater at the time when I was coming up. And he got ridiculed because they called him a robot because he was learning tricks. And I was like, that's me.
I want to do that.
I want to learn tricks.
Yeah.
I learned his signature trick, frontside rock and roll, when I was like 11.
Mhm.
And they moved me up 2 divisions as an amateur because I could do frontside rock and rolls. I couldn't do anything else. But they're like, oh, that kid can do front rocks, put him in 3A. And I was like, okay. I say it a lot. He was in the right place at the wrong time. He was like the most innovative skater at a time when skating was in its lowest point.
Yeah. Is there any training you can do outside of skating that makes you a better skater?
I would have said no a long time ago, but these days at my age, yeah, for sure. I work out 3 times a week doing strength and conditioning and stretching, and it helps my skating just in terms of my endurance mostly.
Yeah.
With my leg, it's unlocked some positions that I can now get back into that I couldn't.
When you were younger, do you feel like,
When I was younger, it was the antithesis.
yeah,
Working out, like, that's for jocks.
yeah,
Jocks hate us.
yeah,
I'm not doing anything that, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna do anything that football or baseball players are doing. I got away with it for a long time because I could. Like I was lanky and I was skinny and I was flexible, and so I could just show up to any ramp cold turkey and do a bunch of crazy shit.
how much of skateboarding is feel?
I'd say it's half feel, it's half visual.
Have you ever skated with either blindfolded or eyes closed?
No.
Would it be possible or no?
Yeah, there are blind skaters, but I rely on watching my board and seeing the coping, and so much of what I do is watching the edge of the ramp and my relation to there. So I need that
At
visual.
all times?
Mostly, yeah. If I'm spinning or if I'm going to be blind to it, I know the feeling of where I am in the air too, and what needs to be adjusted to make it work.
Does it feel good when you're going fast?
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
Did you ever get into skateboard videos?
Sure, yeah. The first thing I did when I started Birdhouse was make a video.
Oh, cool.
We sold it for $5, and we asked people to mail $5 to us in the mail, and then we sent them a VHS in 1992.
And were videos the way that people saw new moves and
Yeah, that time, yeah, for
how
sure.
big was the tape trading world?
It was big. I don't know how many we sold. I think we only made 500.
Yeah.
But
But they were influential.
to this day, people will say,
Yeah.
dude, Feasters, I remember that. Yeah, they got passed around. They would break.
Tell me about the skate park project.
That is my foundation for public skate parks in underserved areas. We've been doing it for 24 years now. And it's definitely my proudest work because I saw skateboarding on the rise, obviously, in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, with the success of the X Games and our video game, and skating was just everywhere, and there were no facilities, and cities were not providing. I just thought, if there's something that I can do to give back to this world, it's provide skate parks. Because my skate park was my salvation as a kid. This is where I spent all my time, where I met my closest friends, where I learned my skill, but also just felt a sense of belonging. That's what it was. Like, we were the nerds and the outcasts. Like, we were the misfits. And the skate park was our safe place.
So how do you get it to happen?
Through having a voice and a name that city councils would recognize, and advocating for the kids in the areas that are trying to get it themselves. So I'm not taking credit for it. I just became a conduit for it.
Yeah.
And it was like, these kids need a skate park. Listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving them tickets every day because they skate wherever, at the mall. They skate, they're not going to quit skating.
Yeah.
And if you provide a skate park, people want to come to your city.
How do you know where to go to advocate for a skate park?
Oh, I mean, at some point you learn the process, the city civil process can actually work. Like if you work the system, you can
Is it
make it
pretty
happen.
similar place to place?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it requires city council meetings, petitions, hearings, but sometimes it's like, hey, this guy has this land, he'll donate it. Well, that's one huge hurdle to get over.
Yeah.
Or we only need this much more to reach our goal for funding. And it's like some wealthy person in that area
Mm-hmm.
had a deep history with skating. And they're like, I got it. And then we're the ones that can connect those dots.
Great.
To date, we've helped to fund over 900 parks.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's a huge number.
Huge.
Huge. And globally or mostly in the States?
In all 50 states, but we have a partnership with Skateistan, who they provide skate parks and educational facilities in South Africa, Afghanistan, Cambodia, Jordan. We help them with their projects because there's no one I would trust more.
How would you say, besides the fact that you've dedicated your life to it, it's provided for you and your family, how else has skateboarding changed you?
It's given me a sense of confidence that I don't think I would have found anywhere else. And an identity. Everything that I do almost inherently is connected to skateboarding, even with my kids in a lot of ways. And so I identify with it, but I identify with it proudly. And for instance, like when I was a freshman in high school, I was a pro skater, right? I was the top amateur skater. I was about to go pro. I had to hide my skateboard before I went to school. Like I would hide it in the bushes near the bungalows because I would get harassed at school with it. Like I would get bullied, or he would steal it, or they would like beat me up or put me in the trash can or whatever. Like that was going to happen. And then I would go through the day and try to be low key and out of everyone's way, and then go get my skateboard at the end of the day and skate home, and then go to the skate park and be there until closing, learning all these tricks. And it wasn't that I was embarrassed to be a skater. It was just hard to identify like
dangerous.
that. It was dangerous, yeah. And nowadays, like, I'm old as fuck, and I like go on a plane and I put my skateboard up in the overhead bin in first class, take up space for other people. And I'm like, this is me. This is who I am, you know, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And so I just mean like it's become so, it's an extension of my body now, and it's something that I am very proud of.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you get to continue doing it at the level that gives you that feeling of joy. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I am so lucky. I'm living the dream. Like I'm so lucky.
When you were 14, could you have imagined
No,
the grown-up you doing
never.
this?
No, I mean,
It's unimaginable.
when I was 24, I made the washed up skater list in Big Brother.
Yeah.
I was washed up at 24.
Yeah.
Still learning tricks, but for what?
Yeah. Because nobody else cared.
I mean, I did.
Yeah.
I still do.
No, but that's the beauty of it, is your dedication is what allowed the whole thing to happen.
That's something that it's hard for me to accept, but I'm hugely proud of it. You know, if I did anything to raise the profile of skating, or if someone got inspired by me and my dedication or stubbornness, it's the best thing that I could hope for.
What's the last trick that you were committed to doing that took a long time to get to?
I did that trick, the impossible. I did what we call a front foot impossible. So you take off and you use the other foot to wrap the board around. So it's like a two-part process. It makes it take more time.
Yeah.
And then I did it to a backside air. I had never done it, and I had to do it. I had to do it really high to have all that time to do it. And I had to set up with my feet in an awkward position. So when you do tricks, aerials to get speed, there's kind of a standard aerial that you do that's just functional. It's just for getting speed.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it like that because I had to have my foot in this fucked up position and it was in the way of my hand. So I had a different type of air. And I kept trying it, like got close a couple times and then finally set a date. This is it. We're getting this on film.
Yeah.
I had Atiba Jefferson there shooting a sequence of it and I made it, but it was so fucking hard.
Is that the only time you've ever done it?
Only time. The only time I'll ever do it.
Yeah.
I landed one and fell on.
How many hours would you say it took to get to be able to do it? Just focusing on that trick.
It was probably a year of off and on attempts,
Yeah.
like an hour at a time. So
you knew it was possible, you just hadn't done it yet.
yeah. And it was just as hard as I imagined to do. Like probably harder than I imagined because the one time that I did try to make it, I thought I had it and then I just fell backwards across the flat and it was like, fuck, if I can't make it like that.
Yeah.
And then the one.
Was there a breakthrough or it was just
No, it was just
grinding
inching towards it, and then finally landed one.
Yeah.
Went up on the deck, just collapsed. Like that's it.
Amazing.
I'm done.
Are there any tricks that have taken a really long time to learn, but once you learn them, you can do them like it's nothing?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
You just get more confident with it. Back in the day, we learned tricks to have them in our repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
So like in Bones Brigade days, if you learned a trick, you're going to keep doing that trick going forward.
Yeah.
It's only in the last 20 years or so where it's like, that trick is so hard. I'm only going to do it
It's a
once.
one-time only.
It's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
But for sure, like there've been some other tricks that I've learned fairly recently and it was like, I could throw that in there. Like, that's a pretty cool one.
Yeah. What gets you excited about learning a trick? Just the fact that haven't seen it done before and you can do it?
Yeah. Or even if it's something that has been done.
Yeah,
by
but you
someone
haven't
else,
done it.
but I've never done it. Like, that's exciting to me.
Yeah.
And that buzz, when you land something that you've never done, that buzz, like that's the dragon.
Does watching skateboarding excite you as much as it always did?
It probably excites me more now because of the possibilities now, because I'm seeing what's next.
Yeah.
You know, in a lot of ways, I was trying to help create what's next, especially through those 80s and 90s, but now it's way beyond what I'm doing. And so I've just watched it like, I never imagined.
And you're astounded by what you're seeing?
Astounded, yeah, it's fucking unreal.
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen?
There are tricks that Bob Burnquist has done, and he's more of a generation of like 90s era, but there are tricks that he has done that I'm convinced no one else will ever do. For instance, we're in the weeds here, but he did a frontside 540, which is not, usually you do backside McTwist. McTwist is a 540. There's a trick called a nar jar.
What's that?
So a body jar is when you go up in the air and then on the way down, you land on the tail. And it's very risky because if you're trying to land on the tail, it's a good chance you're going to miss and your trucks are going to go over and you hang up and you're down. If body jars go wrong, you're getting KO'd. You know what I mean? There's no safe way out of a bad body jar.
Yeah.
A nar jar is a 540, and then on the way down, you come down on your tail. It's the gnarliest of jars, right?
Yeah.
There's like 4 people in the world that have ever done it.
Yeah.
And to this day, I'm like,
but when you see it, it's just like terrifying.
It's terrifying. Oh, well, I mean,
even to watch it.
Because you know what can go wrong as a skater.
Yeah.
Other people see it and they're like, oh, that was cool, 540, hit his tail. And I was like, oh. Bob did it frontside.
Are there things that you ever see in street skating that are like astounding to you?
Yeah, the way that people can just pinch into a rail and just stay on a rail now. And they're on a rail and then they're setting up their other foot for what is going to happen when they come off. That shit, like it's so far beyond me, I cannot believe it.
It's wild.
It's wild. It's what we put in our video games so that you could skate in a fantastical way because we never thought that stuff would be possible.
Yeah.
And now a lot of the skaters now grew up playing those games.
And they can do it.
They can do it.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. I think sci-fi works that way too. You read things in sci-fi books that are impossible, but then 20 years later,
it's
the
better.
Seeds are planted.
20 years later, it's better than it was in that version of it. Yeah.
Tetragrammaton is a podcast. Tetragrammaton is a website. Tetragrammaton is a whole world of knowledge.
What may fall within the sphere of Tetragrammaton? Counterculture? Tetragrammaton. Sacred geometry? Tetragrammaton. The avant-garde? Tetragrammaton. Generative art? Tetragrammaton. The tarot? Tetragrammaton. Out-of-print music? Tetragrammaton. Biodynamics? Tetragrammaton. Graphic design? Tetragrammaton. Mythology and magic? Tetragrammaton. Obscure film? Tetragrammaton. Beach culture? Tetragrammaton. Esoteric lectures? Tetragrammaton. Off-the-grid living? Tetragrammaton. Alt spirituality? Tetragrammaton. The canon of fine objects? Tetragrammaton. Muscle cars? Tetragrammaton. Ancient wisdom for a new age. Upon entering, experience the artwork of the day. Take a breath and see where you are drawn.